What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Attention to Detail, the podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm just getting this podcast started. This is going to be episode 6. So I'm excited about it. I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff to come. And as always, I'm more than open to suggestions. Most of the topics so far have actually been a result of suggestions. So feel free to reach out to me, DM me, email me, comment, whatever. And give me ideas, because I love talking about stuff. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to go find the answer for you guys and give you a valuable, concise answer to it. Let's hop into it. So I think any hooper has felt the feeling where you're nervous. You feel like you can play in a practice, you can play in a pickup game, but as soon as you get into that real game, whether it's a big stage or even a small stage, you kind of lock up. And whether this is due to nerves, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, it's something that holds us back from our maximum potential. So the way I like to think about it is basically an equation. So it's our performance, how we do, is equal to our potential, so how good we can actually be, minus interference. So a lot of the time, the space in between our ears can get in between us and reaching our potential. So some may feel this a little bit more than others. Some may feel perfectly comfortable when they get into the game, and we refer to those players as big game players, or they're ready for the big stage. But at the end of the day, every single basketball player in the world has felt nervous. There's no way around it. And if you say that you've never been nervous on the basketball court before, I have a tough time believing that. So in this podcast, I'll actually teach you guys not only how to eliminate that feeling of nervousness, but also how to use it as a positive. I think we can actually shift that feeling of nerves, the butterflies in our stomach, the sweaty palms, all that, we can shift it into a positive. So I'll get into all that today. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why we get nervous in the first place. So when we're getting ready to play, our body just naturally revs itself up, right? We get into that good old fight or flight. If you want to get sciencey with it, our sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for us, like I said, revving ourselves up, dumps a bunch of, or causes the dump of a bunch of epinephrine and norepinephrine, in other words, adrenaline, into our bloodstream, and we start feeling the effects. You get hyped up, your breathing gets more shallow and more frequent, your heart rate goes up, your core temperature raises. And all these things sound like good things, right? They're things that we want to be happening as we get into a performance. We want to be able to have our full readiness, our heart rate is up, our core temperature is ready to go. We want to be at our full preparedness as we get into an event. So these are good things. Plus it tells you that, one, you either care a lot about what you're going to do. If you don't get nervous before games here and there, or even every game, I'd be kind of worried that you don't care enough about what you're about to go do, with some exceptions, of course. And then 2, this is a sign that our body is working the right way to hype us up, to rev us up for a threat, which is the game. And the threat can actually be something we're very excited about, something, like I said, we care about a lot. So this is our body working the right way. Now, where this takes a turn for most players is that we start to label this as nervousness. But this doesn't have to be this way, right? We don't inherently get nervous. We feel these feelings, these physiological factors, heart rate going up, butterflies in our stomach, all that, and we label it as, oh, I'm nervous. But it's not inherently nervousness. And I think most people think about this in the wrong way, because those sweaty palms, all the effects, they're not nerves. They're your body's natural response. So when we do label these effects, these processes happening in our body as nerves, that's when we start to feel these negative effects of our body acting normally, getting us ready for competition. That's when we start to overthink. That's when our field of vision actually narrows and we lose a little bit of our peripheral vision. Our short-term or working memory actually diminishes a little bit. So coach could tell you a play before the game, you're nervous as hell. You can't remember that in a game because of this effect, because you're telling yourself you're nervous. And then interestingly, we also tense up. So we start contracting muscles that we normally wouldn't contract in movements that we are pretty comfortable with, like a jump shot. Which is why when you shoot a basketball, when you're nervous, normally you just let that flow, you relax your bicep. So you let it flow, your tricep does most of the pushing, and you're not getting much interference from your bicep. Now, when you start to get nervous, you tense up, your bicep starts to go, oh shit, I'm kind of scared about this. it contracts a little bit, and then now everything feels very controlled in that shot. So this can actually kind of alter your mechanics a little bit. There's a whole range of effects that you feel. You start seeing things in the stands that you normally wouldn't be focusing on. You can go on and on, but these are not from our inherent response to competition, but more from us telling ourselves that we are nervous. So that's where we come in. And here's the catch. We can completely shift nerves and anxiety into the best performance of our lives with just a simple mindset shift. Like I mentioned, we want all of these effects for that fight or flight. So if we can change the way we think about this feeling that we would normally consider nervousness and shift it into a positive, this can change absolutely everything. So here's where reappraising nervousness comes in, and this is huge. Reappraising is a big word. It basically means relabeling. So taking something and calling it something different. And our mind is powerful, even more than we know sometimes. So let's say we take that feeling, butterflies in our stomach, accelerated heart rate, all of those effects, and we call it something different. We call it excitedness or readiness. We're ready to go. We're excited to be able to perform. And guess what? We're not nervous anymore. You may be feeling those same general effects, but in your mind, you're not nervous. You're excited. You're ready to go. And this is scientifically proven to benefit performers in a number of situations. So athletes, public speaking, on exams like math tests, across an entire range of fields and subjects, this is scientifically proven to work. Just a note though, you're not going to get rid of that feeling. So if you think that this is giving you some meditation technique to make you feel chill like you're playing 2K with your boys, not going to happen. You're still going to feel what we call as nervousness, but you're going to use it to your advantage. Now, it's easy to say this. It's easy for me to tell you to go out and be like, oh yeah, I'm excited. Boom, I'm not nervous anymore. I know it's easier said than done. Now, one thing that can really help make this mental shift is just saying this out loud. Instead of being in your own head, listening to music by yourself before the game, doing breathing exercises, trying to relax or calm down. If you literally, and this is from scientific studies, I'll link these in the show notes or the description, wherever. If you say out loud the words I'm excited, and this can be, you can use any iteration of this for yourself, but if you out loud vocalize that you are excited, you are ready to go, anything you want to say to reappraise this nervousness, in all studies they've done on this, they've shown that people who do this perform better than those who don't. And it's so simple. The brave man is not he who doesn't feel fear, but he who conquers that fear. And I would say Nelson Mandela is a genius for this quote, because everyone feels fear. Everyone feels those nerves. Like I said, you're lying to me if you tell me that you've never been nervous going into a performance, going into a basketball game. Everyone feels these feelings. It's about how we see them, how we conquer them, and we can do that not through willpower, but by learning these techniques and being smart about it. Now, with that being said, the absolutely number one rule in pressure-filled situations, and this is good right now because you guys, a lot of you are in playoffs, coaches, players, whatever. The number one rule in pressure-filled situations is when you know someone is feeling those effects, they're nervous, they're kind of riled up, do not tell them, stop being nervous, relax, calm down. Because you know what that does? That tells them, oh shit, I'm nervous. And there's no way out of it now. Because they're already kind of in their own head, I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit of anxiety going on. So when someone that they respect, a teammate, a coach, a parent, tells them, calm down, they're now thinking, wow, this feeling is a bad thing. Now I have to try not to be nervous, and that just compounds on itself. You keep telling yourself, I can't be nervous, I can't be nervous. Next thing you know, it gets worse and worse. So this is the number one rule. I always tell coaches, like, look, if you know players nervous, just be like, let's go. I know you're ready to go. You're excited. It's okay. Like, first couple plays, you may not be on your shit, but we're going to get there. That is a much smarter way to navigate this. I promise you. Please do not confirm players' nerves. Anyways, moving on to the second technique that I'll address. And this is internal versus external focus. So this is a switch that we make sometimes. It sounds all complicated, but it's really the difference between internal is we're thinking about our technique. We're thinking about, we want to lift that elbow because that's what we do in practice. We think about snapping that wrist, right? You notice that when you're playing at your best, when you're in that zone, like Klay Thompson zone, just knocking stuff down, when you're in this zone, you're not thinking about that stuff, period. You're letting it fly. So that's an external focus, is when you are letting it fly. You're focused on making the shot. You're focused on playing. You're really just not thinking that much. Now, again, reverting back to internal focus, that's when we're thinking about, gotta snap my wrist. A lot of body part oriented focus. And you notice that when you do this, you don't play as well. But we do this when we're nervous because we like to revert back to our basics, our training state, where we're focusing on everything that we know makes us good. But ironically, when we focus on this stuff, it actually hurts our performance. So I know this may be a little bit tough to understand, but most practical application for this is find something that when you're not on your game, when you're not knocking stuff down, find a few cues that really help you reorient yourself without them being technique focused. So one thing that I've always used is when I'm shooting terribly, I'm not in that zone, I'm thinking too much, I just start thinking release high. So again, that's not wrist, that's not elbow, that's not feet, that's release high. Next thing you know, I'm only focused on releasing the ball high. I know that when I release high with a good arc, it helps the ball go in. And this pretty much automatically shifts me into a space mentally where I can make more shots. It's almost magical. It's crazy if you try it. And this is something that you can see if you're in a game and the opponent, and let's say the other shooting guard on the other team, is just knocking stuff down. Like they're going off 5 threes in a row. They're at the free throw line. Be like, yo, snap your wrist on this free throw. May not miss that free throw. They're going to have more of a chance to, because now their focus where? Internally. So I've seen this snap a ton of players out of hot streaks. Again, it sounds crazy, but it's one of those biggest cheat codes that you can use yourself and with others if you really want to be dirty like that. But feel free to take that. Now, the last technique is just having fun. It's really not that difficult. I see a lot of players, and I've been talking to a lot of guys about this recently, considering they're in season. A lot of players will be in that locker room like a football player, where their headphones on, they're listening to that hard music, they're ready to go knock someone's head off. But at the end of the day, basketball is a very free-flowing, fun game. If you look at the best players at pretty much any level, again, there's going to be some outliers, but the best players at essentially any level, they're having fun before a game. You see Steph, LeBron. People may think LeBron is one of those hard-ass guys, and we can't say much about it because I've never seen his full pregame routine. But he's out there playing football before the game with AD, and Steph obviously running around doing stuff. And a lot of players are pretty free before the game, but when we get nervous, we don't feel comfortable doing that because we're so focused on reducing our level of anxiety. So when we get out of that mindset and we're able to just kind of have fun, be like, yo, this is basketball, it should be fun, I'm playing with my teammates, I'm going to get a shot, may get an opportunity, whatever it is. As soon as you get into that mindset, I've seen players make crazy changes in terms of how they actually step on the court and perform. This is why we do better in pickup games, I think. I mean, again, this is just my theory, but we don't step into a pickup game and we're headphones on, we're locked in, we're ready to knock someone's head off. We go into pickup games to have fun. And then once we start getting into the flow of the game and stuff, we may get a little bit more serious. But at the end of the day, it has to be a fun, kind of free-flowing environment. That's just my theory, at least. All right, so to kind of conclude everything, this has to be not very slow, but this has to be a patient process. You're not going to learn how to completely get rid of nerves in one game. So your first shot doing this, it's going to take some time. Everyone kind of has different techniques. You may tell yourself something different. You may say another phrase out loud. Everyone kind of has different techniques to do this. So be patient with yourself. But I do think that if we are continuously exposed to something, so that being games, we're playing in a lot of games where we get nervous. at the end of the day, we're going to adapt to this. So that's why the players who play in more games, who play in more big games, get better in those games. Now, some of us have a predisposition to do better in these games, but this doesn't mean you can't develop the ability to get rid of these nerves, or even use them to your advantage more. So in a way, treat this like a skill, right? Like I said, we all may have different techniques, we all may have different things we tell ourselves, we say out loud, different ways to reappraise or relabel that feeling that we get, but treat it like a skill. Practice it, understand that you're not going to get good at it the first time. First time you shot a jumper, you were not Steph Curry, you're not where you are now. So it's a skill. Understand that it will be a learning curve, and you'll be good to go. I promise you that. And the last thing I want to mention is something I kind of went quickly over earlier, was this is a good thing. This is a good problem to have because you care. You're passionate, and that's why you feel nerves. If you go into a grocery store and buy some food, you don't get nervous about that because you don't care. Like there's not much value in it. You're not going to get much out of it. You haven't put in hours and hours of work to be able to go pick up an apple and check out. So this is something you care about. It's good that you're nervous in a way. It's good that you're feeling these feelings and your body is getting revved up, because that shows me that you're passionate. And that should show you that you're passionate, and you can take that passion and use it to your advantage and turn around this feeling and make it something very positive. So hope you guys enjoyed this. A lot more like this will be coming. Again, feel free to give me suggestions, all that good stuff. Leave a rating, whatever, subscribe, all that stuff too. But thank you guys for tuning in. I will be back here with a lot more, I can promise you that.